My favourite book at the moment is a book called God in Ruins. It's actually the sequel to another book called Life After Life by Kate Atkinson. And although not my favourite ever book, it is a really favourite book at the moment. It's about a woman called Ursula Todd, and in Life After Life she has lots of different lives, and what it does is show you the possibilities that there are and how decisions can affect what path your life takes. She changes, she could have had lots of different lives. The second book, God in Ruins, is actually a sequel because it takes the story of another character within the first book, her brother Ed, and he's a fighter pilot in the Second World War, and it just goes through his story as well. Kate Atkinson plays with time, she juggles about, she goes backwards and forwards, but she makes you feel that she's a personal friend of yours, and I really like that. I'm at 95% of finishing the book, and I really don't want it to finish.
Okay, the name of my favourite book is The Mayor of Castlereagh by Thomas Hardy. There are two reasons I think this is a great book. Firstly, it's a great story. It's a story of a man's rise from rural poverty to become the greatest man in his local town, Casterbridge, and his tragic fall. Secondly, it's great history. It's set in the 19th century. Henchard is the old England, and his trade rival, Donald Henchard, is the new England. And for anybody who loves descriptions of rural England in the 19th century, this is a fantastic book, and I recommend it to read it.
I don't have a favourite book. My favourite genre is fantasy and science fiction. But I brought along The Lord of the Rings, Return of the King as the book that I didn't put down. I read it in 2 days, and this is kind of the pinnacle of the fantasy genre. Without it, it wouldn't really exist.
And my favourite author is Terry Pratchett, and one of my favourite books by him is The Night Watch. And the reason I like Terry Pratchett so much is that he has a huge mix of humour as well as really detailed, complex plot lines. He interweaves stories really well.
So one of my many favourite books is by an author called Michael Faber, and he wrote Crimson Petal and the White, which is set in Dickensian London, and it's absolutely brilliant. It's quite an epic story and a little bit risque, but it's absolutely superb, so go and read it.
My most unputdownable book is The Jigsaw Man by Paul Britton. It is a book about the first man who invented criminal profiling in Leicestershire. The whole book is all based on real life events, and it goes through lots of very high profile cases through the 80s, 90s and 2000. Things like the Rosemary and Fred West murders, and the John Venables case as well, and it talks you through the different processes that the police did in order to work out how to use criminal profiling to find serial killers and things like that. Quite a dark book. It has lots of different bits in it that are quite gruesome at times, but it was really captivating and made you want to find more and more out about the cases. And obviously for me it's very inspirational because it showed how psychology can be really applied to real life and how it can have a massive impact in helping in the criminal system.
So the most recent book that I've read that I couldn't put down was The Outlander by Diana Gabaldon. The reason I like this book is because it's a romance novel, and I'm a fan of romance novels. This book also was a period piece, so it's done. It's set in Scotland hundreds of years ago, and I like that kind of history type of thing. So that really interests me, and it was really suspenseful, and they got into a lot of situations that were really tricky, and it was a really fun read to have. And also, just the fact again that I like romance novels because it kind of brings you out to another part of the world that you don't maybe experience every single day. So it was a great book to read.
My favourite book is The World According to God by John Irving. He's an American writer. I love the book because it's quite a quirky story. It just keeps changing direction, really keeps you enthralled, and it's so beautifully written.
Okay, the book that I have chosen to describe is a book by Cormac McCarthy, The Road, which I know was turned into a film. I've never seen the film. The reason I've chosen this book is because my older brother described it to me. He said, read it in one sitting, which I ended up doing. It is so shocking and so hard to read that you end up not putting it down simply because you want to know what happens next. I would not describe it as an exciting novel. It tackles some very, very taboo subjects, including cannibalism, and it is a very bleak view of a possible apocalyptic future. If I said that it actually has got an optimistic ending, that wouldn't do it justice. But at the same time, I can honestly say that I was unable to put the book down for 3 or 4 hours until I'd read it from start to finish, and I will never forget it.
My favourite book is The Ice Palace by Tarjev Vesaas, a beautiful, haunting, poignant tale situated in Norway. As you can tell, the author is Norwegian. Fantastically beautiful landscape description, but more than that, it's a very mysterious and haunting tale that would speak to anybody, whether you're a boy, a girl, an adult or a child. Everybody I've recommended it to has really loved it, writers, businessmen, children, so I would highly recommend The Ice Palace.
Right, so the book I have chosen is Jaime Bunda, Agente Secreto. It's by Pepe Tela, an Angolan author. It is written in Portuguese, and the reason I like it is because it's a very, very funny book. It is a parody of the James Bond books, and it talks about what the life of a secret agent in Angola would be like. And it would be the total opposite of James Bond, in which basically the books are full of action, but it's a different kind of action. It's more day to day, and the descriptions of the things that happen are very, very good, and it really transports you to a different place. So it's a book that I would highly recommend.
My most unputdownable book. Wow, at the moment I'm reading The Light Between Oceans, and I can't put this book down. What's this book about? Well, it all starts on a lighthouse in the middle of nowhere, and there's a couple and they're married, and the lady really wants a baby, but she keeps having false alarms and miscarriages. As luck would have it, one day a boat turns up with a dead body and a baby that's alive. What are they going to do with the baby? Well, she only goes and pretends that it's her baby and brings it up as her own baby. No problem until you realise that there's actually a mummy out there that's missing her baby. What's going to happen next? Can't put the book down, sorry.